Hi, welcome back to Real Good Times. I'm Amanda,
I'm Shane.
and for today's episode, we don't really have anything super new. We just thought we'd come on here and talk about some of the movies we've been watching on our own recently in this past month and talk about them and give you guys our thoughts and opinions on them.
Yeah, we've already talked about some stuff we've watched together this month, like Planet of the Apes and Fall Guy, but we watched stuff separately, so we wanted to just break down some mostly old stuff. But I have one
Yeah,
new movie to talk about.
yeah. I just right now we're like in this period where we don't really want to go see any of the new movies that are coming out just because they're not what we're interested in. So we thought instead of giving you the new box office movie reviews, we would just review some of the movies we've been watching recently.
How many movies did you end up with that you wanted to talk about today?
Um, I have like four,
Okay.
but it's like, yeah, I have four.
Well, I have three, so if you want to go first, and then we can alternate.
Okay, well, one of them is kind of like I can kind of group them together, but I can still go first. I started off the month with The Idea of You, which if you know, you know. It's has Anne Hathaway and that new guy, what's his name? Nicholas Galin Galinstein. He's in a lot of new stuff coming out. He was in another Amazon Prime movie also based off a book called Red, White, and Royal Blue. Um, but yeah, I had to give this a watch. If you know me, you know I love Harry Styles, and this is technically based off of a book that was a fanfic, I guess, of Harry Styles and One Direction in that era. Um,
Isn't this
I
like
ended
the
up
third movie like that that's
Yeah,
based
there's like
off of?
10,000 million movies like that. And I could like I always want to know what he thinks. Like, does he know that these are a thing? Like, especially the big one. What's the big one called?
I not I have
On
almost an idea of you.
Netflix.
Um,
It's like after
oh,
and
after we
before.
collided, right?
Yeah, but like that's like the fourth one or something like that. There's like four or five now. I think they finally finished, but
Oh my god,
I just want to know, like, do people tell him that that's a thing, or do you think he just doesn't know?
he
He's
probably
gotta care. It's kind of weird.
he probably wants a cut of it since it's so obviously him. Like I heard the plot description for this one, and it's like way more obvious, I think, than some of the other ones because it's literally a British boy band, right?
Yeah, and they meet at like Coachella, which I don't think they do in the book, but I think they just meet at a concert in the book. It's the After series, the other one.
Hmm.
And in the fanfic, obviously it's Harry, but then in the After series they renamed him to Harden. Like, come on. It's kind of funny.
What's his name in
But
this one?
Nick? I think they
Hmm.
completely like redid it.
Hmm.
What is his name in this one? Hayes. Hayes. I don't know where I got Nick from. His name is Nicholas. That's probably where I got it from.
Oh,
Um, but yeah, I had to give this one a watch. I ended up giving it 3 stars. I feel like that's kind of generous though. Um, it was cute, but like also kind of weird and disturbing. The whole thing is supposed to be kind of, hush hush because it's about a young man dating a much older woman. Um, but I thought it was interesting that they got Anne Hathaway on this, and so that was also kind of why I wanted to watch it. I think there were some really great themes there, kind of like they really touched on how the internet and like stan internet can really be very
toxic.
hurtful and like yeah, very toxic and can ostracize things that they really have no idea about. And I really liked how they touched on like how it society perceives older women dating younger men as so much grosser and weirder and taboo than older men dating younger women, like everyone in Hollywood does, all the men in Hollywood. So I thought that was, kind of good things to be touched on, especially by Anne Hathaway, and because I think this could have been a very overlooked movie if someone as big as her wasn't in it, and I think that some of the themes in it really needed to be said. So
I did hear some reviews saying though that she doesn't really fit it because she looks too young. Like, isn't she supposed to be like
yeah,
a single
it's so
mom in it?
nuts. It's so nuts to me how she literally does not age. She looks so good in this. Like I'm jealous of how she looks in it, and I'm 20, and she's what, 40? She
Yeah,
looks really
probably
good
mid
in
40s.
this. Oh, there was like a scene where like she was supposed to be insecure because his other friends or his other bandmates groupies were like out in their bikinis, and she didn't want to go out in a bikini, so she wore like a sundress, and then they like started like picking on her, and I was like, this is like not realistic because she looks as good as them, if not better. So no offense, but like she just, for a 40-year-old, that's impressive.
Yeah, I'm glad Anne Hathaway is back in the positive public opinion after she got hated on for no reason for a long time.
Yeah, I like Anne Hathaway.
Um, well, is that all you have for idea of you?
Yeah, pretty much. Nothing special.
Well, one of the movies I wanted to talk about that I saw this month was The Tree of Life. Came out in 2011, and it's often on like best movies of the decade list. Has Brad Pitt and Jessica Chastain in it. I almost said Julia Chastain. Um, and it's like probably one of the like most complicated feelings I've had in a movie because I can't say it's good or it's bad because it's like very experimental and it's not, it is plot driven, but it's also more ideas than it is narrative. Basically it's just the childhood memories of this guy um who grew up in Texas in the 50s and just thinking about just growing up as a kid. It's more like flashes of memories though. There's this like a loose narrative of him growing up and you know, it's kind of a coming of age story, but the scenes are more just different parts of his life rather than this happened because that, it's this happened and then later that happened and later this happened. And there's a lot of themes of just, coming of age, dealing with semi abusive father. You know, I wouldn't know if I call Brad Pitt's character abusive. Like he's definitely a hard ass, but I mean, it was the 50s in Texas. So probably most people were. Um, and there's also just a lot of like moments where literally it's just like visuals across the screen, like something you would see in like a tech demonstration. Like there's a whole probably 20-minute sequence that's about the creation of the universe, and we don't see any of the main characters in it. It's just space and nebulas and molten lava forming, and then it cuts to dinosaurs. It's overall just like a very weird experience, but I wouldn't say I didn't enjoy it. I really liked all the narrative stuff in it. I think the acting was great. It's just I didn't really connect with some of the existential stuff that was going on in it. Some of that was just a little bit too much for me.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
I definitely don't think it's a movie for um, probably most people. Honestly, I think if you're really into movies and you've probably seen a lot of movies, I guess, and you want something different, a lot of people describe it as visual poetry, which it kind of makes sense. There's just like broad strokes instead of specific themes. So if you're looking for something like that, I would recommend it. But to most people, I would say they probably wouldn't enjoy it. But I gave it 3 stars. But it honestly, I don't really know how I would rate it. But that is pretty much all I have to say about the Tree of Life.
I feel like I can't add anything to this because I literally have no idea what it's about or what it is. So,
Yeah, that was kind of just me going on a little review tangent of it because I don't think it would be um your speed, but I just want to put my thoughts out on it.
all right. Well, this month I was after the idea of you, I was on an Anne Hathaway kick because next I watched The Princess Diaries. I've already seen it, but I rewatched it. And then I also watched The Princess Diaries 2, which I think was probably like my first time watching it all the way through because I didn't remember a lot of it. The Princess Diaries is a classic. I think it's so good. I feel like in my childhood it was overlooked. Like I didn't watch it as much as other like princess movies or whatever, but now I like really love it. So I'll do anything for like a movie where a normal girl turns into a princess or just like normal girl princess movies like the Princess Protection Program and um
So you're
what's the other
Sophia
one?
the First fan, is what I'm hearing.
Maybe. But I don't think she was ever a normal girl, right? She
No,
just was a
she was
princess.
a peasant.
Oh, that's literally like the song, isn't it? I wasn't yeah. um but this one, I mean it's a classic. Everyone loves it. Everyone watches it when they're a little girl. It's just so good. Everyone wants to be made over into a princess when he goes like, "I took this and this." Like everyone wants that moment. And I think it's super cute. Like the romance in it. It's kind of cringe. But I also like the sub romance between the queen and Joe, which is like
Yeah,
their
that's
bodyguard.
I watched most of it with you, and I enjoyed that part a lot more than the
Yeah.
main romance.
Well, in the second one they go into it more too. So I think if you like it, then you should watch the second one too because they go more into the queen and Joe. But this cast is just so good. Julie Andrews, Anne Hathaway, perfect combo. I think this is just such a good movie. Super classic.
Yeah, it's very cute. I would say very
It
cute
is
movie.
cute. It's a very cute movie. And number 2 was honestly just as good. I don't really like sequels. I think sometimes they're super cash grabby. And I think this one was cash grabby, but it also had a cute story and we got to see a little bit more of Anne Hathaway actually being a princess and stepping into her role as Princess of Genovia,
I
and
was
then
just
later on Queen of Genovia.
I was about to quiz you and see if you remembered what the name of the country was.
Duh. But yeah,
Genovia,
and then we get a whole new love interest in this one, which is a lot better than the first one.
because it's Chris Pine instead of some
Yeah,
dork,
pretty much.
some geek.
And it's cute because it's like enemies to lovers, which everyone loves. Every
Mm.
girl loves enemies to lovers.
Yeah, I'd probably like to see the second one. I don't know if I'm gonna jump on it anytime soon, but the first one was pretty good from what I saw. Just a nice little, what'd you call it, a rom com,
Yeah, I would call it a rom com. It's
or I
coming
guess
of
a
age too, I
chick
think.
flick.
Chick flick.
Yeah,
Every man will say they don't want to watch The Princess Diaries until they start
no,
getting
it's good.
glimpses and we're like, "What? Who's that? What's she doing?"
I also like a rags to riches story.
Yeah. And I just love Julie Andrews. Like she's so iconic, so
Would you like to see like a reboot, Princess Diaries 3, where now she's full on running Genovia? Now
no.
she has a daughter.
No, I think I'd pass
No.
on that one. That's super cash grabby.
Wouldn't be surprised, Disney Plus original.
Mhm. Like Enchanted and,
Oh god, and Hocus Pocus too,
Hocus Pocus, yeah.
both of which we watched the first 30 minutes of and turned it off.
It was just too much in a bad way.
Alright,
Both
well,
times we turned it off right when they were, like, doing the, like, singing too, we were just like, "Nope." The
yeah,
songs are so bad.
especially in, Hocus Pocus,
Yeah, when they
'cause
start dancing.
the original wasn't even a musical,
Yeah, that's
and
bad.
I guess it's fine if you wanna change up with the sequel, but I
Make
don't
it
know,
good?
just it didn't yeah, it didn't fit. And Enchanted was worse because Hocus Pocus, the first one is like a good Halloween movie. I don't know if I'd call it like a good movie, but the first Enchanted is like legit a good movie.
Yeah, so it's just super
They
disappointing.
should have just left it alone. Well, this next one that I'm about to talk about, we can also both talk about.
Mm,
Or did you have Bones and All on your list?
I did, yeah.
Okay, well, maybe I should talk about what I haven't seen, and then we can talk about Bones and All together.
Okay.
So yesterday I went to go see Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. Um, the prequel to the last Mad Max movie, Fury Road, which I liked a lot. Um, consistently, people call it one of the best action movies of the century for a good reason. And this one just felt like a lesser version of that. I know you haven't seen it, but
No, I haven't seen it either.
this is the origin story for Furiosa, who's one of the co-leads in Fury Road. And I think it just suffers from kind of like what the same thing that, Rogue One or the Han Solo movie suffered from, where it's explaining part of the story that really doesn't need explaining. Um, because Furiosa in the last one, her story was pretty much told, and this one is just expanding on it in a way that you could have honestly just guessed from what we already seen. Um, I think everything is just kind of like on a lesser level, and I know it's not fair to compare it because it's supposed to be its own movie, but I mean, it's a prequel to that movie.
Yeah, well, they made it to get more money from, the hype
Um,
from the other one, so obviously it should be as good or if not close enough to being
Yeah,
as good,
and it's
'cause that
using
was, like, the
like
whole point.
it's using a lot of the same characters. Some of the score is the same. It's
Mm.
using like some of the same um uh settings. So everything just feels like a lesser version of Fury Road, and that's just kind of disappointing. The action in it is decent, but it's just when you're coming off like a super high, then it's something you can't really top. So it just feels disappointing, really.
To me, it looks very AI, which I know is kind of, like, the art style that they were going for, but, like, from previews and stuff, it just looked super hyper realistic cartoonish, I guess. I don't
Yeah,
know. Not my
there's a lot
style.
more. There's a lot more CG in this one. In the last one, it was mostly practical stuff, like real trucks and stuff blowing up with CGI used to enhance it. But there's a lot more straight CGI in this, and I think that's also what kind of hurts the action. It's not
Yeah.
as engaging, kind of like what we talked about. I think it was last week the CGI discussion.
Mhm.
It just
Yeah.
looks more fake, so I'm not as invested as what's going on as in the last one. They're falling off trucks, they're crashing them together, and it's intense. But here, it just yeah, kind of at times does feel like a cartoon.
Yeah, and you fell asleep. You dozed off twice while you're watching it.
Yeah, I dozed off like in the first 20 minutes, and then again during the first big action, or I guess the second one. Um, and that's not really a good sign in
And
your
you never
action
fall
movie.
as yeah, you never really fall asleep during movies. So,
No, especially not in the theater.
yeah, yeah.
So I think that's a big sign. A lot of people were loving it. Maybe it just wasn't my thing. But I would say biggest positive is Chris Hemsworth. He's really hamming it up. He's the most entertaining part of the movie, I would say. He's playing the bad guy. But even then, he's doing a good job, but it kind of feels like his shtick now is, "Oh, I'm big and muscular, but I'm actually acting goofy,
Like a
winking at the
oaf.
camera." Yeah,
Like a big muscular oaf.
yeah. Like the joke is he should be badass, but he's actually an idiot.
Yeah,
It's
like
like,
Thor and shit.
yeah, he's kind of doing the same thing as Thor, just with a he's a bad guy now.
Yeah,
It's entertaining, but it's I want to see him do something different.
like serious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that was Furiosa. I gave it 3 stars too. Um, I would say really only go see it if you really enjoy either Anya Taylor-Joy or if you're a big Mad Max fan. Otherwise, I think you can pass on this one. Just watch Fury Road.
So one of the last movies I've watched so far this month with you was Bones and All. We finally got around to watching it. It's like 2 years old by now. But after seeing Challengers, I kind of wanted to see this one and see where it ranked in compared to all the other Luca movies. So, especially because I think Challengers is probably one of my new favorite movies ever, as well as he has Call Me by Your Name, which is and will always be one of my favorite movies. So I kind of want to see how this one compared. And I've honestly on TikTok I keep getting like the the clips of them like for press releases and stuff like that, like their press tour of like their tension and how people really think that they hooked up in during the filming of this movie a couple years ago. So that was also kind of like why I wanted to watch it.
Yeah, I wanted to watch it back when it first came out. We just never got
Yeah, me
around to
too.
it.
I don't
It
know why we
looked
never did, but yeah.
probably because it's so damn expensive to go to a movie theater.
Yeah. But we both really liked it. I forgot what I gave it. What did I give it? I
Think
think
you
I
gave
gave
it
it
three
three
and a
and a
half.
half. Yeah.
I gave it a 4. I liked it just a little bit more than you.
I thought it was good. I understood it, but it was like it was creeping me out so bad. Like I get that that's the point, but like
Yeah, it was a
the
lot
ending,
gorier than I thought it
yeah.
would be.
To me, the ending really, really saved it. I think there's parts where it was like kind of like, okay, like is this almost over? It's kind of like dragging,
Yeah, it is
but
a little long.
the end really, really saved it. And I think if I would have been a little bit more um invested in it, or if we didn't finish it the next day, I would have cried because the ending is like super sad, um, and super good. So,
Yeah, I think the all the performances were really good,
hmm
especially the 2 leads.
yeah, I wish she'd be in more. I hope she's in more soon. She deserves to be in more. She's a very great actress.
Yeah,
Taylor
it
Russell.
I think I don't know if this is more due to their acting or the script, but I think they did a good job making them sympathetic while also still questioning their motives. Because you can't 100% like be on their side because they're
Yeah.
murderous cannibals.
Cannibals.
Yeah,
Yeah. But you
but you
also kind of
still,
feel bad for them.
yeah, you want. I mean, it's not like they can help it, so you want them to live a nice life, but they kill
Yeah.
people.
Well, that was like going into it, I didn't really know how they were gonna do it because I really didn't know much about it rather than it being like a cannibalistic love story. But I didn't know how they were gonna be like set up as cannibals. And in the movie, it's basically kind of like just some people have this like need for it and some people don't. Like they don't really go past, explaining it like that. And it is obviously genetic as well. Um, but it's just like kind of explained as like some people need to do it and get hungry for human flesh and um fuel up, I guess, like their energy and stuff from it. and I didn't know how they were gonna do it. I thought maybe it's just gonna be just them or something like that. So that was kind of interesting to see that part of it.
Yeah, it's also a very beautiful movie. I think
Yeah.
I would say his second best looking movie. I would say it's better looking than Challengers. Maybe not as good as Call Me by Your Name, but I
It's because
really
we
love
like I guess they all are kind of like older,
like
supposed
shot
to
on
be like
film.
older time. Yeah.
Well,
So, because I was
Challengers
gonna say,
is
because we like older, like looking
yeah,
movies, but Challengers was also supposed to be a little bit older, I think.
I
Right?
think like 2012.
Yeah. So, but not that much. So maybe that's why you like it, because they had like the old pickup trucks and they
Yeah,
were
it's
wearing
set
like
in
old
late 80s, I think.
clothes. Yeah.
Um, and obviously the like cannibalism is supposed to be like a substitute for I've seen a lot of things. Queer people,
Mm.
people with HIV, mostly centered on that.
I
I
just saw it as like cannibalism represented like profound love, like just deep love.
yeah, I mean, could mean that too. I just was seeing mostly just like they're the other. So it
Yeah,
could
that makes
also
sense.
mean, I guess, racism because it was the late 80s. Homophobia and racism were going nuts. So there's a lot to read into what the cannibalism represents.
Yeah.
And I think it did a good job of being horrific while also the romance is very genuine between them.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if it's a horror movie. It's definitely like in between genres. And I think that's very unique,
Yeah, it's
especially
something that's never really been done that much. I'm sure it's been done before, but
like there's gothic romance, but this is like something else. I would say it's a lot more visceral than a lot of horror romances, I would say.
yeah. I would love to read the book too.
Yeah, me too. I was thinking about that.
I always see it, and I told you this. I always see it in the young adult section, so I don't know how different it varies from this movie, but if it's anything like the movie, I don't think it should be in the young adult section because
No, this is
it's kind of crazy.
pretty gnarly.
And I mean, it's like super, it's not super sexual in the movie. It's more like gory, but like there's one scene I'm like, that is not young adults. I don't know.
No. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Which it could, it's probably just exaggerate, wait,
Exaggerated?
yeah, exaggerated. Um, but yeah, and the guy who plays Sully did a really good job in this.
Oh yeah, he was creepy.
Yeah. And Timothy Chalamet, as always, did a wonderful job in this. I liked his hair in this too. That's like totally besides the point, but he did a very good job in this.
I liked his style.
Yeah, the
I
80s
saw
style.
I was looking behind the scenes stuff, and apparently his style is supposed to like represent all the people he's eaten. Like he'll take clothes from people he
Oh,
eats, and that's
that
why
makes
he has
sense.
like so many like different style choices.
That makes sense, and that's why his sister goes, "He looked like."
Yeah.
Yeah,
But yep,
that's
I
funny.
would definitely recommend it. As long as you're not like super squeamish or anything.
Yeah, I mean, you can. It's like not super. I don't know how to say this. Like you can tell it's super fake, but it's also still gory. You know, like
I
when they were eating them is like okay, that it would never work like that. But like it was still like ugh.
well, the one part, and this isn't a spoiler because it's in all the trailers and stuff, but the finger part that looks pretty real, and the sound design in
Yeah,
all the movie.
that does look real. But like whenever she is with Soli and they start eating that old woman. that looks super fake to me. Like it's like
Yeah, it's
they
too.
didn't do any like tearing into the skin. It just kind of like melted. So
Yeah,
it's not super hyper realistic cannibalism, but it's still gross as hell. So
yeah.
like I was even like I can't like couldn't. But it's also like not in there that much. Like it really isn't. Like it isn't a like I don't know what I'm trying to say.
It's more what you
It's in
don't
it a good
see.
yeah. It's in a good amount because it has to be. But like it's not like every 5 seconds and stuff.
Yeah, that's why I say I don't know if it's a horror movie. It's just a movie with horrific elements, but I wouldn't say the purpose is to be scary. It's just like kind of
Yeah.
blunt. Like this is who they are.
Yeah. I was gonna say I love the reviews on this one on Letterboxd. There's some
Oh,
good reviews. Like someone said, "Me and that bad bitch I pulled by eating people." And then someone else said, "If eating people bad, then why Timothy Chalamet looks sexy?" People are just so funny on Letterboxd. And
why?
like that's
Why
my favorite
Sully
thing to
looks
do.
sexy?
It's like my ew, no, not Sully. And his hair. Ugh,
His
dude, gave me the
hair, his
creeps.
hair bundle, or his little ponytail?
Both, literally both. And in no world would I ever do what she did and go with him in the first place.
He
Like
was
I don't care if
hungry.
it's the 80s. I don't care what decade it is. That dude was gross as hell.
You don't got
Saying like I can
hungry with
smell
her.
you. Mm-mm.
They can all smell each other.
Well, I'm just saying she had never heard that before until him and was like,
It's
"Okay,
true.
sure, let's go into that house together."
Also, her dad did nothing wrong.
Yeah, I would have done exactly the same thing if I were her dad.
Yeah, she was
Sorry.
18.
Oh, he said I've been waiting for this day for years. That's nuts.
Well, poor dude's probably in fear every day of his life.
Oh, the scene with her mom was really good too.
Oh yeah. Um, you know who the mom is? Apparently,
Who is it?
I don't know if you'd remember the exact character, but she's in American Psycho. Do you remember his secretary?
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's her.
Interesting.
Yeah, she just likes being in bloody ass movies, I guess.
Alrighty, that is the end of this episode. Like I said earlier, we just wanted to hop on and give you guys some thoughts on some random movies we've been watching recently. If you liked this video and you're watching on YouTube, it would mean a lot if you'd give it a like. If you're on Spotify, maybe drop a 5-star rating. Follow us on Instagram. It is the Real Times Pod over there on Instagram. We hope you'll join us next week. Bye.